What's up, my friends in film fandom, wherever you may be and however you may be watching? Thank you so much for giving us a little bit of your time. We're going to get into some spoilery talk about the episode. I know it's a terrible pun, but everybody's been using it the whole season, and I figured this was the best time to use that pun because we actually have them in the show now. But yeah, so there's Frank's really bad dad joke for the stream. There we go. But here to talk about Season 2, Episode 5 of The Last of Us. Things are getting a little bit crazier. There was this weird kind of sad time that we were all dealing with the death of Joel and exactly how would Ellie react and all this. And now we're kind of in the thick of exactly what her reaction is going to be. And it's been pretty good so far, in my opinion. But yeah, there's a whole lot to go into. And here to do that with me is my Hair Life Page Jeremy. What's up, brother?
You should be ashamed of that joke.
I should be, yes. I have a great deal of shame now. I will lose sleep tonight. I will chastise myself vehemently.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll be just devastated about this.
And I'm going to stare at the ceiling tonight at 3 a.m, wondering why I made that joke. Let's see. Good evening to you, BJ. Always wonderful to have you around, as always. Let's see, but let's get right down into it. This episode we're back in. We're still in Seattle. We're still on the war path, trying to find Abby to get vengeance for the death of Joel. Things get a little bit crazier. We get some people that come back into the fold in this episode, and Ellie finally catches up with one of Abby's crew. But we'll get to that in a minute. Let's first talk about the return of Jesse.
Yes, sir.
We've been kind of waiting for them to. Where's all my pictures at? There they are. We've been kind of waiting for other characters to come back in for the last couple episodes, wondering how that was going to be. I thought I had a picture of Jesse, but I did not. But let's talk about that for a second. It was kind of a big action set piece. We were not supposed to be shooting anybody because shooting was going to attract attention of the WLF. And then 3.5 seconds of episode later, gunshots start blaring and shit starts popping off because they just can't help themselves when they're fighting clickers, I guess. But Jesse's back. He's in the mix. He's looking a bit more grizzled in this episode, I thought. Like he's kind of annoyed. I don't know. But what do you think about the return of Jesse in this episode?
Yeah, he's kind of got every right to be fair. Boy, when he finds out the news here in a second, too, man.
Yeah,
so,
he hasn't even found out the big news yet.
Yeah, I was like, by the way, also, hope you're sitting down for this one. Yeah, I mean, there's, I'm sure there's rough times in Jackson sometimes, and you probably go through some shit, but he's, you can stay pretty well put together because they have a lot of resources to do so. But when you're out there in the shit, as they say, I mean, and also Seattle's very wet. It's very rainy, no matter what, is going on normally, or just in a 25-year deep apocalypse. So yeah, he's probably gone through some shit just to get from Jackson to Seattle. So yeah, pretty cool. Cause I've been predicting pretty well what's going on, and I was like, I didn't really know where it would come in. I was kind of hoping it would, that at some point we'd have to see Jesse and Tommy again. So I was at least pleasantly surprised because I was trying to remember in the game. I was like, I think they already went out. I think they went ahead and went out before Ellie and Dina did or something. So I'm like, they were already out there, and they all just kind of happenstance to cross each other. So, which I guess to be fair, is kind of what also happened here. They somehow run across the same theater that they did. I mean, I guess you could say
it was super easy, barely an inconvenience.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All of Seattle just happened to stumble across the right building.
Yeah, you come across the. I mean, yeah. Who else would leave a map triangulated in a thing? He would know. Oh, that was them. But whatever. Glad the gang's all kind of back together. That was a good one. Yeah, and he's probably a little hot under the collar that, hey, my former love and off and on love interest here, and Ellie, who's Ellie, is out here doing something they probably shouldn't be doing. So yeah, but hey, I guess 4 people is better than 2 or maybe 1 at this point, because Dina's kind of out for the count right now. So you got a little bit of Skyrim in My Last of Us, which I thought was kind of funny. So you quite literally gave her an arrow to the knee. I'm like, okay, you guys got jokes, but it's cool to see him again.
Yeah, it's. I was kind of wondering how they would be reintroduced. I mean, I kind of already knew that we were going to see them in Seattle because I know enough about the game, having talked to you and other people that have played it, to kind of know, to have a rough idea as to what's coming. But yeah, I was. It was very well timed. One of the great things I liked is how the way it was shot, when Ellie's being kind of ganged up on by a couple of these infected, it's looking like she might not be in a very good position, and Dina's of course locked herself in an electrical cage, and she's not offering much help because she's trying to protect herself from getting bit. When Jesse comes in and shoots all those clickers to get them off Ellie, when she first looks up at who it is, I was kind of expecting maybe somebody from the WLF who's just kind of thinking, I'll figure out who these people are later on. Right now I need to kill these clickers and get them off them so that I can take them in and actually talk to them. And when she looks up, it's kind of blurry at first. And I like how the blur kind of through the blur, you get the impression that it's Joel. But as she looks up and refocuses, it turns into Jesse, which I thought was kind of cool because there was this one moment.
Thank God.
Yeah, because it was. Yeah, I don't know how they would have explained that one, but unless he's a Force ghost or some shit. But
sure.
I mean, why not? We're doing. I mean, Hollywood's all about the crossover now, so why not? But
well, he is in Star Wars. He's the Mandalorian, so
true,
maybe.
But yeah, I thought it was really cool how they shot that, how they kind of had it blurred in, because it makes sense. Because in that moment, somebody in the position that Ellie was in, as she's kind of coming out of the fog of the moment, the low light and everything, she might not be able to recognize the face at first, but then as the camera refocuses, we find out it's Jesse. And then things go on about the show. But yeah, I thought that was really cool how they chose that moment to reintroduce them when they were going to help them the most. It's also emblematic of the fact that, and what I've said already is I thought it was that while I understand her journey, her revenge journey, I would have handled it differently instead of just her and Dina going on horseback, however many 2,000 miles to Seattle, just stir up some shit that maybe you want to plan some things first, so that way you can have a better chance of success. She's just kind of like bowling through the whole thing, and I think that's one of the reasons why Jesse, I don't know if you noticed or not, he looks really annoyed every time. The whole time he's in this episode, he's just like, God, I can't believe I had to come here and save you two dumbasses. I mean, it's like you knew that. I mean, it got voted down for a reason because the people who aren't as emotionally attached to what happened to Joel are looking at things a bit more objectively, and you're just all about killing everybody who gets in your way. Again, understandable, but you also have to be logical about things. It's extremely illogical, and I think Ellie even says it at one point in the episode. She's like, "I want to do the dumb thing" or something like that. I'm gonna do the dumb thing. Yeah, let's go do the dumb thing.
Or no, let's go be reckless. Yeah,
let's go be reckless. Yeah, so and I think even she knows that a lot of this is kind of half-assed and maybe not very well planned, and that maybe I think there's even been a couple of times, especially after she finds out that Dina's pregnant, that there's been a couple of times where she's kind of been like, well, maybe I was a little foolhardy about running to this, but she's in it now, so she figures, why not? I'm here. I may as well do my plan. But yeah, we also get to see the first of Abby's crew going down. We get to see she finds Nora. She finds Nora in the hospital after the spores and Jesse and them get away. They split up, and she decides to do something reckless. Of course, she sees the hospital they've been looking for, and then she gets in there and finds Nora. That was a very interesting. Piece of dialogue, a bit of back and forth. I love the look on Nora's face. I thought the actress did a great job in this moment, trying to convey with her facial expressions that she didn't really like the situation as it was either. She didn't
want to be there.
Yeah, I think everybody other than Abby didn't want to be there. I think they made that pretty clear in that episode where Joel does get killed. But not only did she not want to be there, that she is still despite that, she is still firmly on Abby's side. And then she's like, yeah, it was all messed up, and we did it in front of you, and that was messed up. We killed him, it was messed up. But, from our point of view, from our perspective, it was really worth it. What do you think of that exchange between Nora and Ellie?
One thing that this, for all it's worth, that this still does is something that made the first game so great was the choice at the end of the game in terms of morality. Like, was Joel right or wrong? And really, you could argue either side, and there's not really a right or wrong answer to it, to be honest. It's an interesting point of debate. So it kind of reminisces that, where they're like, having good points back and forth, and you're kind of realizing like, yeah, neither of them are really wrong, but like the point of it being a revenge story is like, yeah, this is the vicious cycle. It's like they're not quite realizing that, this is all it really is. And obviously, I mean, yeah, I think what Nora was trying to, like, she was trying to level with Ellie a little bit, like, yeah, look, that doesn't mean this all came from me. I didn't do this. And that's why I love that exchange back and forth where she says like, oh, maybe you should have killed you. And Ellie's like, yeah, maybe you should have. Because I'm like, yeah, you did leave a loose end, which was dumb. So, I mean, that's obviously then she, while she's got the knife to her throat, then she does that little poke and twist like, yeah, well, you died like a bitch. I'm like, see? And then that's what's, you're going to start saying some reckless shit while she's got a gun pointed at you. So, I mean, okay.
Well, in all fairness, Ellie warned them. She goes, you better kill me too. Like in that moment when they were at that building where Joel gets killed, she's like, you better kill me too. And they were just like, nah, we're not worried about you. Maybe you should have been worried about her.
Yeah, because you never know, man. Like that's a loose end's a loose end. And I mean, as messed up as it probably is, man, you probably should have, because if you really don't think there's going to be repercussions, we even said that in the beginning, like they saw the town and realized, holy crap, there is a lot of people, a lot of walls, a lot of patrols. They've got their shit together. So it's like, you should probably expect some sort of kickback. I mean, even if you don't, it's like, keep that in the back of your head that like something might come back to bite you. Whether it's in the form of, they wanted like 16 people to go out there, or it's just one, 19-year-old girl. So yeah, I think Ellie took that chance to try to dip in there and see what she could see, because she had to have figured somebody was in there. I think that was the only thing that I predicted correctly, was I was like, I'm pretty sure Nora's about to die. And again, like I said, I thought dude with the little face cut, because I swear he was the one who died first, but yeah, it gets to that, but it does get to that scene, which was very cool, very, very well lit. It's ripped straight out of the game, which I'm sure we'll talk about, that whole thing with the basement and Ellie and Nora.
Yeah, I mean, we may as well go into that now. I mean, because the chase scene was something right out of the game. I actually saw a video yesterday where they were comparing the that little chase scene through the hospital to the game, and there was some things that were very close. A couple of things they aesthetically did differently, but I thought that was very cool as well. The one big difference is that, as I know that in the game, Ellie tackles Nora and they fall through the obviously not very well kept rotted floor to the basement where the spores are. Whereas this time I thought it was kind of interesting. I don't think it really says that if Nora knows what's down there or not, but she obviously in trying to get away, she jumps in the elevator shaft. The elevator slips down the floor, and a little bit of foreshadowing in the first scene of the episode. The one girl's talking to the other girl about what happened down there, and she's explaining what happened in the basement. We saw some of these scenes in the trailer for this week, and she says down the basement level, they said there was nothing there, not even rats. And she even talks about basement level 1, 2, 3, and 4, and whatever. So you see her opening basement level 2, and you already in your head know that there is something down there that they do not want to talk about. What it is. But, well, if you're a casual watcher of the show, you may not know. But if you're Jeremy, you're well aware of this.
Right. Well, that's my seat waiting for it.
that the spores are being contained down there, and so I don't know if Nora knows this or not, but I'm assuming not, because maybe she might have taken her chances to do something else. But she just opens that door and runs right in her attempt to get away from Ellie, and Ellie obviously not knowing what's down there, runs right down there after her. That was a pretty cool scene as well, especially when she finally catches up with Nora. Nora started to feel the effects of the spores taking over her, because she has no mask. Obviously, Ellie does not have the same problem. What do you think of the way that was done? Because there was a real brutality to the way that scene ends at the end of the episode, actually.
Yeah, and like I said, that's exactly how it is in the game. And I'm like, I don't think there was any other way to really portray that without it being spores, because we did kind of see that in the prior episode where Ellie took a bite for Dina, and it was like, that might take a little longer to, disprove in her case that she's not going to turn. But the thing about the spores is it's a little bit more immediate because you're breathing that directly, that's going into your lungs, and every breath you're taking, it's just killing you from the inside out. So, and it does make that scene work better because that's how it works in the game. Now, we were talking about that too. I don't think Nora knew, because at the end of that scene, I think when they were talking about the spores being down there, she said, like, don't tell anyone that we don't have to, just kind of keep it, congrats on keeping that contained and doing what you had to do. But maybe keep this on the down low for a minute before we really figure out what the hell we're going to do with this. And I don't think Nora's really someone of as much of importance in that hierarchy to probably know that. So she might have just been looking for a way out. Obviously, the soldiers knew, because I think when she was getting chased by the soldiers too, it's like, I know that's narratively like, oh, okay, that's why. I'm like, in any other situation, she's screwed. Like, you've got a whole, like, couple wolf soldiers chasing you, and they stop because they know, oh yeah, don't go down there. Even if the soldiers don't know, they just know don't go in there. That's part of their only order is, hey, don't do this. Just keep it sealed off, even if they don't know. But it was cool because I think it may have been, since we didn't see, this is where I have thoughts, because I'm like, okay, we backpedaled really fucking hard on those spores, didn't we? Because I'm like, I said that, I'm like, there are some things narratively that the spores do, especially in this second game and in this second season, that I'm like, you're gonna have to really work around, or you're just gonna have to fess up and say it's there. Now, for it to be like a new development, like an oh shit moment, I'm like, that this is now a thing that to contend with, not only with the fact of these infected, period, these different types of infected, which I was going to backtrack a little bit and talk about, like, a whole room full of those smart zombies, those the stalkers. Holy shit. I'm like, you keep the infected terrifying, because that's what, keeps it interesting. But now, and you have this, the new thing was the hive mind, which I was like, that's not in the game, but that is kind of a cool and also terrifying twist, that you kick a root a mile away and then a whole horde just knows you're there.
That's something they've talked about from almost the beginning of the series, though. It's like because there's that one scene in the first season where, like, the one infected
they
is
kick
laying on the ground,
yeah.
And then the tendrils wrap up around its finger and wakes it up, kind of telling it that there's fresh meat nearby. So that's something that's been kind of out there, if not openly discussed in dialogue from the beginning of the series.
But I mean, it wasn't in the game, so I was like, okay, if that's the new, instead of spores, because when we first talked about it, they had no mention of spores. I was like, that's interesting. I mean, I guess that would be kind of annoying because it's a gameplay mechanic where every once in a while you got to it's just put a mask on, and usually it means there's probably going to be more clickers, more of the later stage infected meandering around. But now it's like, this is kind of like a new development of this this cordyceps virus, so it's like, okay, I can kind of accept that, because again, it has to narratively work better for that scene, for Nora realizing, like, oh, I'm dying, and it has to be quick because she's right on her tail. And yeah, that and that's more of a, like, the oh shit for Nora is realizing, oh, she's not dying, she's not I'm already, like, sitting there gasping for air, and she's just walking up to me, and she realizes, oh, you're actually her. Like, that's not good. And I'm like, that kind of helps, Ellie's case, where she's trying to get that out of her. Like, where's Abby? You just got to tell me where she's at. And it kind of goes the same way, where she just tells her, like, nah, kick rocks, kid. And it's like, okay, let me tell you why The Walking Dead is my favorite show. That's essentially the same. It's a brutal, yeah. You just hear her say no, and it just goes to Ellie's face in the game, and then you see, like, an X pop on the screen, and I'm like, oh dear God. And then it stays in that same shot. You see her just lunge down, and you see blood just splattering on her face, and it tells you hit X again. You just beat the living crap out of her, and it's like, whew, it's visceral.
Yeah, it was the
worst thing she's done.
Yeah, there was a lot of, or the worst thing she's gonna do, quite frankly.
There is something far worse that she's about to do, where it's like, you're really getting in over your head here.
I think the season is going to end on that note. I think that's going to be the season. But One of the things I do want to talk about is the way that her basically beating the hell out of Nora, it mirrors the scene where Joel was killed. She kind of looks over in the corner and sees that pipe a lot of the same way that Abby just kind of, matter of factly looks over the corner and sees the golf club. She starts on her legs the same way that Abby started on Joel's legs. And I was just like, wow, it's talk about that moment of turning into Abby. I mean,
it's like where you're no better, man. Like
it's really one of the things I like about this episode is there's an interesting kind of character growth that happens in the scene. Because, I mean, as annoying as Ellie can be as a character, we all know what she's been through, so we can kind of understand it. But I mean, she's gone from this in the first season. This, what was she, like 14 in the first season?
She's 14, yeah.
Season. She's gone from that 14-year-old girl who is a girl who has tried to be just a regular girl growing up in this amazingly terrible situation that mankind has found themselves in. Yeah. Even goofing off and just kind of just being a teenager, to in this moment she's a murderer. I mean, now, granted, you can agree or disagree with her motives, but it's like she is torturing and beating another human being. And one of the things that was great about what Bella Ramsey did in the scene is she doesn't display on her face any sign of hesitation. It's like this look on her face right here as she's dropping that pipe on Nora's legs. It's 100% commitment to what she's doing. There is no should I be doing this in her eyes. She's like, I'm going face first into this whole thing. Let's do this like right now. We're doing.
You're in my way of getting to Abby right now, and that's
exactly.
What it is.
And it's a reminder that she's growing as a character into what you can be debated, but she's growing as a character.
Like
a mini Joel. More than that, another Abby, because Joel wasn't necessarily driven by revenge. I mean, he had the moments in the hospital at the end of last season where he's not trying to revenge anything; he's trying to save Ellie. You understand. Abby can't understand, but I mean, us as viewers can understand why he did that, because he's already lost one daughter. He doesn't want to lose another daughter figure. He's grown attached to her. He sees her as kind of not a replacement, but as a second chance to protect her the way he couldn't protect Sarah.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like she's falling into the same path that Abby fell into. You took someone from me that I care about. Now I have to kill until I feel like I've satisfied that debt. And it's everything that Abby became after what happened at the end of last season is transferred over to Ellie almost step by step. It's a very interesting kind of character progression for her.
And it's even, like I said, it's kind of mirrored in like when Tommy was talking to Kevin's mom, Catherine O'Hara.
Yeah.
Because like, I mean, he knew Joel obviously, for his whole life, and through most of the apocalypse, they never show it, but they always talk about how, there's a little more dialogue between him and Tommy in the game where, he talks about like, we had to do things to survive. He's like, you did those things. He's like, and Joel just snaps back at him like, I kept us alive. And he's like, and you're going to play the ungrateful little brother right now? It's like, and even Ellie has a conversation with him, like when they get attacked by those raiders in the town. And once you get out of that situation, Joel, she asked Joel, like, how did you know they were going to do that? Like, attack us in that way and set up this trap. And he's like, I've been on both sides of it. She's like, oh, you killed a lot of people? And he's like, yeah. It's like, good people? And he just kind of makes a noise. And she's like, well, I'll take that as a yes. I'm like, so, Joel's probably done a lot of terrible shit too, just in these last 20 years to, keep himself alive, because that's just how this apocalypse goes, So it's not like he's really just doing the right thing. But I mean, I guess what the right thing is just keeping yourself alive, and whatever that means. It could be like that scene there, which, I mean, I always love that, because even if it's not the most obvious heavy-handed visual cue, that like she is literally seeing red. That's what that is, and she's just single-mindedly like, okay, well, either you tell me or you die. So them's the punches, kid. So there goes
that's one of the things they've done at various times throughout this season is they bring in the red light when shit's about to pop off. So when she flips that breaker and the lights come on and they're all red, I'm like, oh yeah, here we go. So it's about to happen. Let's do this.
I'm waiting for the sun to go down a little bit because I've got my red light on right now. I was like, I've been waiting for all season for that to come up so I can put my red light on behind me. Because my God, that's a hell of a scene right there. Show and game, I will say.
Yeah, and there's so many great shots of just like their red face, the red. I mean, the way it's reflected in her eyes, even like she is definitely turning into something else, which I thought was fantastic.
If there was like a murderous 1,000-yard stare, that's what that is.
Oh yeah,
like, yeah.
Because there is part of her that, aside from walking the path that Abby has already walked, there is part of her that's turning into Joel as well, because that's been the only father figure she's ever really had, at least the only one that's come close. And so obviously the time that she spent with him over the last 5 or so years, she's picked up certain points of view, not just skills, tangible skills, but points of view. And while they've spent most of their time together in Jackson, I would imagine the times they've spent together in the first season, which was probably not short, probably a year or more. Because I would imagine that they can't get across country on horseback and walking very quickly. It's one of the things that annoyed me.
Yeah, the first game was a year. I'm assuming this season was about a year.
Yeah, so the fact that she was with just Joel for all of that time probably says that she picked up certain points of view as well, and one of them may have been, in this world, you can't just hope that things go well. You have to be proactive and do things sometimes that you don't want to do, sometimes things that are frowned upon, in order just to make sure you get some food in your belly today, or that you survive, or that other people are going to try to attack you, and you may have to do what you have to do to live. So yeah, I wonder. There's a bit of Joel in there as well. What part of Joel? I mean, you got to admit, when she comes into Joel's life, Joel's pretty broken, and even after he takes her on as like a surrogate daughter, he's still broken. He's not fixed just because Ellie comes into his life. You don't fix some things that are broken in a guy, especially after some of the things that he's experienced. So, yeah, it's interesting how much of Joel is rubbed off on her.
And obviously, like we've said, Joel knew the world before the apocalypse, so it's like he's had, I don't know, I'm trying to remember how old he is. Maybe like maybe early 30s or so, mid 30s in the first game and in the season. So he's already had lived a so-called life before the apocalypse, normal life, and then having to adjust for the next 20 years, almost as long as you'd been alive previously, to then go to that. So it's like that kind of makes that's an interesting character where you have the like how I know how things used to be, and this is how things are now. And we've said this before, like Ellie doesn't know anything different. That's the thing, is like she was born into this, and that's all she really knows. So unfortunately, it's kind of cranked up to 11. I think that's even what Catherine O'Hara was talking about, when she's like, some people can't be saved. That's just how they are. It's like,
and I would imagine that when she says some people can't be saved, it'd be a lot more people in that situation than it would be in ours, not having to deal with cordyceps, mushroom, fungus, tearing people up.
Yeah,
with the world being such a mess that a lot of people they're just born in terrible circumstances, and they're just not raised in a benign sort of existence the way that we've been.
Then having to adjust, being grown up with it is something different.
So yeah, I think most of the people still alive in this situation are people that really can't be saved. There are people that are just too fucked up, but
you don't know any other sort of morality. Yeah,
not really any fault of their own. It's just that's just how the world works.
Yeah.
But now I want you to wax philosophically about the spores. We finally get them involved in the show. I understand why they kept them out of the show to this point, because from adapting something from a video game to a television, or from any medium to another, you have to make some decisions on when you want to introduce some things, because if you just introduce all the bad stuff in the first episode of the first season, you kind of blow your wad early. You want to have some things that kind of raise the stakes as time goes on. I think now is the perfect time to introduce spores into the show. Jeremy, you're the expert on this. Wax philosophical for a few minutes, if you will, about spores and how they're going to impact the show going forward.
Yeah, I can. Because I had some thoughts, and I already saw it like in the trailer. I saw that little I think it was from this scene here where Ellie, by the way, that is a phenomenal shot. I love that visual aesthetic there. Where she finds that infected Yeah, his favorite movie must be the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, because that's kind of what that reminds me of when they're like part of Davy Jones's ship. They're all just kind of barnacled and like ingrained into the ship, and it's kind of the same deal here, where they're just kind of part of the environment, which is horrifying, but it's still cool. But in that scene, like I saw the little puff of like, I was like, there's particles coming out of its mouth, and I was like, really, we're really just gonna backtrack on the spores now? But as I thought about it, and like you said, I'm like, yeah, it makes more sense now, because like I said, it does have more narrative reason to be in this game than the first. I mean, really in the first, it's just like every once in a while, like, I mean, you're playing and the character goes like, crap, spores. And they, put on a mask, and then it usually means, okay, we're stealthing right now because there's going to be clickers and more infected that are, more along the line. So the more terrifying ones. And the only thing I think that happened in the first game narratively was it was something very similar to that, where like Ellie and Joel are in this like subway tunnel or something, and they go down there and there's some raiders that are around. Joel's got his mask on, and like they hunker down behind this like bench, and they're watching the guys, and then Joel like almost double takes, looks at her, she's not wearing a mask, and he's like, how are you breathing this crap in? And she's like, I told you I wasn't lying. So it's like there's already had that conversation that's been had to where, of course he doesn't believe her that she's immune. But that then sinks it in more where it's like, oh, no, she's not lying. She's telling the truth. So I'm like, okay, I think we already established that pretty well, and didn't need to have that. But with the thing with Nora is I'm like, yeah, it's going to make more sense with that. And again, I thought they were going to do that with Dina, but they didn't, because with the whole broken mask thing. Now, I love that it gives a more visual cue of seeing that environment, because I think it was maybe meant to be in the first game or a similar thing happens where Joel jumps onto a top of an elevator car and the cable snapped and he plummets to the basement, and like 2 or 3 stories up is Ellie still up on the top of you're in like a hotel, and now you're separated, which sucks, but now you have to find your way back. And it's kind of similar to that, like when you're in the basement, and Joel even kind of has like an oh shit moment, like realizing, oh, I'm not in the best place to be right now, because it is overgrown on the walls, it's in some standing water, it's everywhere, and it's just like a scene out of some sort of level of hell, you know what I mean, which looked very similar to this. So I was like, okay, yeah, basement, and 25 years of probably no one going in this basement, and this is gonna evolve in such a manner that these people are basically part of the environment, and they're going to have spores coming out of their mouths and out of everything. Really, it comes out of the walls, it comes out of every orifice. So that was kind of my defense of it. I'm like, I'm not mad, because I'm like, you gave me something different with the hive mind thing in the very first season, and then I was like, okay, I'm interested to see how you explain this without spores. But that's still a pretty cool scene to see in the very beginning, which we're going backward now. But hearing that woman's testimony about, like, they didn't even know what that was, and her son got trapped down there. You can't do anything for him. He died pretty fast. I think that's who she found. Actually, I saw the name tag. I think it was
that was
the woman's son, which that sucks. So I don't know how long I can't imagine a lot of time has passed, but you see how quick that shit just overtakes you. So, yeah. And I kind of like it better, like I said, that it was more of a, Nora's choking on spores now, and now she's realizing her, well, not even days, her minutes are kind of numbered right now, staring down the barrel of this girl she probably knows at this point is going to kill her. I know she even tries to play her a little bit like, oh, good job, you killed us both. Then she realized she's standing there just like, what are you talking about?
She goes,
I think even that moment, I think Ellie's even realizing, like, oh, I'm not dying. Oh, this is something new. Like, wait a minute. Oh, cool. And she kind of uses that. You can tell the wheels were turning in her head. Like, yeah, well, one of us is walking out of here, and it's going to be me. So, yeah.
I also love the job that the girl that played Nora, I'm drawing a blank on her name for some reason. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, she was cool.
When she's on the ground, after Ellie finds her, she's on the ground. She's already suffering the effects of the spores. I love how her performance gets deeper and deeper into like the transition, because like at first she's just laying there struggling to breathe, but towards the end of the scene, before Ellie starts beating the hell out of her with that pipe, you can see her starting to twitch as the spores are kind of taking over her brain. I was like, that was a great job showing the kind of minute by minute effect of what the cordyceps stuff does to you when it's first introduced into your system. I thought that was really good acting on her part.
Yeah, because you don't want that getting out.
Oh yeah, because one of the things you learn really early on in the series is this stuff acts super fast. It's not like it's because I think in The Walking Dead, isn't it that like if you get infected, you're good for like a day or two, you get fever, and then you die, and then you come back as a zombie.
Maybe it actually takes,
it takes quite a bit of time. Whereas this, it's a matter of like maybe a couple of hours. I've never actually seen how it transpires like from infection to you finally losing your shit and becoming the cordyceps zombie, but it seems like it all happens really, really fast. Because that's one of the ways. Yeah, that's one of the ways that it overtakes everybody in the first episode. It happens so fast that everything goes to hell all at once. So it's like people are freaking out on the streets of Austin, planes are crashing, all that shit that goes on in the first episode. It happens because this infection gets a hold of somebody relatively quickly, and there's not really any stopping it.
I don't know if there's anybody who's who's smarter than me who can maybe tell me, because now I'm thinking like in terms of maybe, when you get bit, blood flow as opposed to breathing, right? Would one maybe act faster? I mean, do you breathe more than say like something could spread through your veins? At like what speed does that happen? You know what I mean? Because I wonder if like the constant, because you're constantly just subconsciously breathing. So I wonder if like constantly taking in that much spores, does that maybe shut you down faster than maybe say something trying to go through your bloodstream? It might, I guess, if it's trying to overtake your whole body.
Well, bottom line is just the same results at the end. So
I know. I'm just thinking. I'm just trying to be scientific about it. I guess I'm like, I guess your lungs would probably go, get screwed over a lot faster than maybe say your whole blood system, and then your whole body shuts, or your brain starts poking out little mushrooms. So maybe that's why. But yeah, man, it's those spores are no joke. That shit will take you down real quick.
Yeah. Also, one of the great things I like about this scene is just kind of the look of it. I was watching, like I said, I was watching a video.
Beautiful.
I was watching a video the other day, and somebody had compared it to the scene in Aliens where they first land on LV-213 or whatever the name of the planet is. And as they're walking, and they see that one kid who's still alive before the chest burster comes out of him, and he's like, "Help me!" And then they likened it kind of to that scene, because it's not just the one kid they find. They actually, I think, he only really talks to him, but I think there's 2 or 3 that are kind of like glued to the wall like this. They're kind of absorbed into the fungus. And it was very reminiscent of that scene where they land on that planet, and the Colonial Marines are looking around, and they see those people kind of absorbed into the wall, being feasted upon the vessels for the chest bursters. That it was a very similar look, and I was like, holy shit, that's true. And it's a great look. I really like it. I think it's pretty wild. It also shows just how fast these things can ravage the human condition. Texas chiming in saying, technically in The Walking Dead, everybody is already infected. Look at the season 1 finale with the CDC doctor, and when Shane finally snapped, he was headed that way when him and Rick battled. So,
well, yes, I know that. Like, well, yes, I was like, yes, they're all already infected, and the point was, it's not just if you get bit, everyone's infected. So no matter how you die, you still come back as a walker. That's kind of the shitty thing of it, and that's why they show that in like season 3. There's an elderly man who has like cancer, and he's dying. So they're trying to like watch his, transition. He volunteered. And, he naturally just dies, but then like, it actually is pretty quick, to be fair. He starts to reanimate and come back as a walker. So yeah, it's like, but still the point is that it doesn't take too long for you to still come back. But, yeah. Whether you die of, old age naturally, and you will still come back as a walker, which really sucks. But, you could just get bit and boom, next day you're roaming around in 120-degree Georgia heat.
Now, granted, I kind of lost track of The Walking Dead about halfway through the first season. I wasn't really all that into it.
That was in season 2, so you probably didn't even see that.
But the fact that everybody's infected kind of ruins the entire point to me.
Well, it kind of sucks. It's like, well, no matter what you do,
there's no way. Because I understand that the point of the show was not necessarily how are they going to stop the zombie infection and go back to normal. That's not really. That wasn't really the point. But knowing that, one of the things that drives the viewership is the human stuff that's going on amidst the chaos, and B, the fact that there is hope that there is something, because that's what Ellie represents to me in this show right now. Is there's a hope. And knowing that at the end of the second game, they don't exactly realize the cure, I'm wondering how they're going to, if they end up ending this series after season 3, which is looking like they're going to do, because I don't see a third game coming anytime soon. Yeah. Are they just going to end it where it's like the world is still being ravaged by cordyceps zombies? That seems like kind of a bummer, because I've said it 100 times. One of the things I like about movies and television shows is the happy ending. I want to see the good guy win, the bad guy die in a crazy, explosive, CGI aided way. And I want to see, the good guy get the girl at the end. I want to see the happy ending that always Cellulite can deliver. And sometimes I understand that's not the best ending for a movie, and that's fine. But at the end of the day, I still want to feel, at the end of the movie or the show, I still want to feel like I'm satisfied. And I don't know if that's a very satisfying ending, at least not for me. I know most people would just be like, well, that's the world. How are you going to change the whole world? And there's probably more infected out there than there are humans.
Yeah, it's just how you deal with this new way of life. That's kind of...
That is kind of a bummer. It kind of makes the show for 3 seasons or however many they end up getting out of this. It's like I'm watching this knowing I'm not going to be satisfied at the end. It's kind of.
I mean, I watched 11 of Walking Dead, and I mean, that it does end on a happy ending, which the comics does too, which is in a weird way. It's like, yes, there are still walkers. It's just how they, like I said, how they handle this this new way of life and dealing with it day to day, and that's just another facet of it. But it's like, yeah, it is a happy ending. Like, Carl has a kid, and he's telling his kid about, Grandpa Rick and how he was the hero who saved us all in the comics. Kind of same with Walking Dead, the show. It's like, yeah, I mean, you run this whole town now. You have this, this is going for you. Hey, you had a kid. You're with this person. That's all great. It's like, yeah, it's a happy ending. I mean, as it can be in an apocalypse, I guess. But it's a weird, it's a weird note to end on, that it is happy, but in a way, it's like, yeah, there's still zombies outside, so this is, well, let's all wash our hands, shall we? Or something, I don't know.
I'm one of those weird people that actually wanted the alternate ending to Terminator 2. You've seen it, I know you probably have, where Sarah's sitting there talking into her tape recorder while John Connor is playing with his son. I'm one of the people that was just like, that's kind of the ending that I wanted. It's like, after all the chaos, the death, and destruction, and mayhem, it's like I kind of want the good guys just to come out on top of the end. That's kind of why I watch movies. I mean, I get it, because because even the fact they even made a second Terminator film tells me that the apocalypse was inevitable anyway. But that, again, that's
amazing.
That's time travel jargon, and one of the reasons why I mostly hate time travel in movies and TV shows anyway. But yeah, I still kind of want the happy ending, even if there's a sliver there that's saying things can still go wrong. It's like I like the wonder that ending leaves me with. But whatever. I don't know if. I am growing increasingly concerned as to how the series is going to end. It's not going
to give you a happy ending, but I mean,
well, I need the ending to leave everybody in a good spot. I think by happy ending for something like this anyway, I want the happy ending to leave people in a decent spot. It's like I know that they're not going to destroy all the infected between now and the end of the series. I know that there's not some miracle cure that's going to be found. I mean, I don't know the second game the way you do, so maybe I'm wrong, but I don't expect some miracle cure to be found. I don't expect Ellie to be like, here's some blood, make whatever cure you can make. It's not going to be like that. But
it's in your brain, not your,
so it's like, I don't know how they're going to be able to do this without just saying, at the end of the day, a lot of people died and now the show's over. And it's like, well, okay.
That's kind of what happens. Like I said, though,
But you see, that was always one of the things to me that was the danger narratively of even making this into a TV show. Is at the time, the second game had been out, and what I knew of it is that there was still not an ending. There was still more to be said. So they're like, okay, we're gonna. I think one of the reasons why they decided to split the second game up into 2 seasons, I think they were trying to give give the producers, is it Naughty Dog or Work Games?
Naughty Dog.
Naughty Dog that they're trying to give them an extra year to kind of figure out what they're going to do with the third game.
That's what I was saying. I was like, if you do that, maybe give us a third game.
And when they came out, I think it was in the last year or so, they came out and said, there's not going to be a third game. We can't really crack it. I was like, well, okay, then what's the show do? Because if there's still too much left unresolved at the end of next season of the show, then it's like, what did we go through all this for? I mean,
well, and that's why the second game was such a surprise, because I mean, the way it ended the same way it did in the show, same way it ended the game, where you can tell it's just eating at her a little bit, and she stops Joel and says, was what you told me true? Like, swear to me what happened and what you told me about these fireflies is true. And again, you see him hesitate. He just says, like, yeah, I swear. And you just see her kind of let that sink in and just says, like, okay, game cuts to black. Credits roll. I was like, what? But it was impactful because, again, now you're left like, well, shit, he just lied to her. And you're thinking, like, yeah, about the thing you just did, which, was it right? Was it wrong? And it's like, I can be okay with that, but I was like, well, wait, that's it? So I didn't know why they made a second game and then still kind of ended it the same way, just abruptly, where I was like, excuse me, there's you could do more with this. God damn it. I don't know. That's what's kind of frustrating about it.
But let's go to the part where I rely solely on Jeremy for the comparisons between what we've got in the show and what we've got in the game at this point. Obviously, a few differences. You've mentioned a few of them already, but how close is it compared to the game right now?
Still, still pretty close. Like I said, I don't think it was just some unnamed hospital where these wolves are at. No, I may be wrong. But like I said, I keep mentioning the aquarium. I was like, I don't know if they're going to do that. But that was kind of like a place that like Owen, Mel, and like Abby, and well, no, dude's already dead by that point, and so is Nora. It's like a place they hole up. So I don't know. Maybe they'll do that. Trying to think. Oh, that's right. There is a story which I feel like if they were splitting this in half, maybe it would make. No, it'd have to be. It would have to be in the the third season. There's gonna be a storyline with some of the Seraphites and Abby. So it's kind of like two enemies having to come together in this apocalypse because, I mean, for one thing, they're children. So it's Abby also realizing, like, why are we even fighting this stupid war? Also, this is a kid, like, So look for that team up next season, I guess. Yeah, I think that's later. I think we're getting to a good place. Like I said, I'm trying to remember how in the hell, because I blacked out the whole second half of the fucking game dealing with Abby. But she's gonna run across Tommy, Jesse, Dina, and Ellie. So yeah, I don't know. We're still pretty good. Like I said, there were some minor things that were different. With, like I said, with her taking his gun. Obviously, the spores thing is a little different. It's still there, but I mean, for them to all of a sudden be like, "Hey, this is a thing." Like, okay, it's been a thing, guys. Catch up. I'm pretty sure Dina did not take an arrow to the knee, Skyrim style, because
Ellie's the one that got shot in the game, right? That gets hit with the arrow. I thought I read that somewhere.
I mean, I've gotten shot with plenty of arrows because those fucking Seraphites are like, it's like the jungles of Nam. These motherfuckers are hiding in the trees and shit. They're annoying.
Charlie's in the bush. Charlie's in the bush.
Charlie's in the bush. Do the trees scream? Yes, they scream in Vietnamese if you burn them. That's a joke, by the way, in Minecraft. Ellie gets a lot of shit thrown at her. I'm trying to remember if that does happen. Maybe just again, me and my own stupidity of trying to like bullhead these guys, and I'm getting shot with arrows. That was different. What I thought was going to be different was I was surprised that in this scene, which was kind of a cool scene of dialogue of Dina telling a little bit of her backstory, is that she just continues on with Ellie. I was like, well, I know it's a video game, and yes, Dina's there for the first part of it, and that's before before you find out she's pregnant, before you find the theater. But she kind of, has that moment of like, you probably shouldn't be out here, in your state, because if you die, that's it. Which, to her credit, I mean, she does tell Ellie, like, if I die, that's on me. It's like, damn, that's yikes. But I was kind of surprised, like, she holds her hand when they're looking at the war going on. I was like, wait, are they going to continue with the two of them? Because that would make more sense. But obviously, you're just one woman Rambo Ellie in the game, tiptoeing around and killing people through Seattle. But because I was like, the only way I think you're going to make that make sense is you have to take Dina out of commission, which again, that's what the air in the knee was about, and Jesse hauling her back to the theater, because I'm like, yeah, otherwise it's not going to make sense other than just, hey, stay here, and not die. So that's a little different, but I get why narratively that was done. I want to say everybody hold on to your hats, because I'm like, there might be there could be a character death coming. I won't say who it is, but you can throw a dartboard at like the 4 people that are in this show and probably land on the right one. But I'm just saying, be waiting for that. Now,
I have a feeling I know who it is. I think we've talked about it. I think we may have talked about it last week.
Yeah, they could maybe not do it, but that's where I'm like, if you're gonna do it, you better. My thought is it'll happen in the 7th episode, because I think my mind's blanking right now. I was like, I'm trying to remember what could maybe happen in this next one. Well, but I know it's all gonna explode in the theater on the last one. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. What's interesting that I see right now is that there's only 2 episodes left. I don't know at which point in the halfway point in the game things kind of happen. I don't know what, because you would probably choose to end it on a little bit of a cliffhanger, but not much. I mean, it's not like they're at risk of being canceled between now and season 3. They've already greenlit season 3 anyway. But so you probably ended on a little bit of a cliffhanger, a little bit of an emotional thing. So that's what I'm wondering. Again, only 2 episodes left in the season, and I know that it's going to be a pretty quick turnover to season 3. As a matter of fact, I think they've already shot a few things for season 3 when they were filming this season.
Damn.
So they're kind of a few smaller things, not big pieces or anything. But so I wonder how this is going to end. And I'm pretty sure I'm getting a text message right now saying that yes, a friend of mine just had his baby. Yeah. But hey, congratulations, my friend Arlo, good buddy of mine. You know Arlo.
Oh yeah, I do.
But
oh yeah.
But yeah, it's.
I think we're going to end on there's going to be a character death, and then there's going to be, like I said, there's going to be a tussle between Abby and Ellie, and it's going to just cut off right there.
See, but how much of a tussle is there going to be? Because I feel like that's where you end the. I think I figure they might find each other at some point in the next couple episodes, but I don't think the final confrontation happens now.
No.
The final confrontation is most certainly at the end of next season, because I would imagine that's where the game ends.
Yeah, and, that's the end all be all. There is going to be an initial. They're going to fight, and then, like I said, I think they're going to then make season 3 more about Abby. Like, if they're going to follow the game, because then you play as her, leading up to how she, what she was going through post, all this time while they've been going to look for her, and what she's been doing in Seattle, and then finding the Seraphite kids, dealing with her whole thing, and then getting into a fight with Ellie. That is not the last time we're gonna do that, though. There's gonna be the like, hey, maybe we should not do this, because Dean is on kind of a time crunch here, so we got to go back and deal with that. And again, the thing of revenge is just gonna be eating at the back of Ellie's mind. She's gonna go after Abby again, and that's where it's gonna end, because she does get into it with her again at the end of the second game. So. Yeah, it won't be the first, not going to be the last.
Yeah, but let me ask you this real quick. Do you think there's going to be, granted, there's a little bit of divergence from the game to the television show as far as where people are when things happen, things like that. But do you see any big divergence from the game coming in this show at all? I mean, I don't think there's a place where one would fit, but but I feel like that there's going to be something that even the people who are well versed in the game like you, like they might change something up to be like, holy shit, now I don't really know how things might play out. Do you see there being a big divergence in the story that's going to shock people?
Yeah, so far they haven't, which I mean I'm not upset by, but just minor things, like I said, timing wise, like, oh, now Tommy and Jesse are here. I'm like, they were already there, I think, and there's small things, yeah. My first thought went to I wonder if we're gonna see Ellie John Wick her fucking dog, because that'd be funny. Do we want to? We did show the aftermath, but we did kill a kid in this series, so
yeah.
I'm just saying.
Not on camera, though, so I don't know if that counts.
Yeah, but I mean, in the game though, I mean, Fido comes rolling down that fucking hallway, and I don't know if it depends on what you have, but I had a shotgun out and I blasted that fucker right in the mouth, and I was like, yeah, do not attack me. And you find out, oh, it was Abby's dog, and I'm like, fuck Abby and her dog, I don't care. I'm still on that hill, and I'm willing to die there. John Wick me where I stand, I don't care. That's how much that shit pissed me off. I don't know. Maybe we're gonna just on screen see Ellie just kill her dog. I don't know. Maybe. See, I don't know if they're gonna do the. I don't want to get like spoilers, man. That
you don't have to give anything away. Just do you think there's gonna be some big plot change or story change that is gonna throw everybody for a loop and leave us all wondering, even you?
Yeah, because I'm like, there is someone that Ellie does kill of Abby's crew that I'm like, oh Jesus, wow. I'm thinking like there could be the character death I'm talking about. I'm like, maybe you don't, and then maybe you leave that open. I don't know, because this world is pretty brutal and it kind of sucks. It sucks when any of the your main characters die, but man, I don't know. I'm trying to think even into like season 3, so called, like, could there be something that I don't. If she straight up does, because I'll spoil it. Sorry, everybody. She doesn't kill Abby ever. If they straight up just whacked her like at the end, that would be insane. Actually,
I feel like that. Sadly enough, I feel like that's the happy ending. I feel like completing that revenge, because there's something in me that says that if Ellie does this, she's going to consider the matter complete, and she's going to be able to go on about her life, whatever life she's going to live in the zombie apocalypse. That's what it's good. But I don't know, though. But it's hard to tell what people think,
Well, see, but there's a line that Dina tells her that I'm like, well, no, even if you do this, again, it's not going to make you feel better. It's not going to bring Joel back. It's not going to. I mean, that is the point of the revenge story. It's like, well, did you really solve anything? And is somebody that Abby knows going to start thinking like, hey, maybe I should go kill Ellie now? It just keeps it's the vicious cycle. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. She's going to let her go, but it's like Abby wasn't doing so hot, man. I don't think she should have helped her. When you come across your person that you've been trying to kill and she's crucified on a damn cross, just bear with me here. Just follow me. She's crucified up on this cross, like beaten to shit out in this like beach full of other people in that same state. I would have just been like, "Yeah, you got what you deserve. Bye." And just, don't mess with her. Just leave her there. Screw her. Let her suffer. Let her figure her own way out.
But it's not thematic if you don't let her down and fight her in the water. Though it's not a cinematic ending.
I hope they do. It is a really cool shot of like you've probably seen it, where it's just Ellie just sitting in like a really shallow kind of part of the beach. She's beaten and bruised and bloody to shit because Abby's bigger than her, obviously in the game. But it's just her sitting in just like that still just kind of pool of water, just like completely alone and just defeated all to hell. It's like, yeah, that's probably how that feels. Jesus, like she's gonna learn the lesson the hard way, I think. Still.
Well, let me ask you this. I'm finding myself more and more curious as to what comes after, because again, there is nothing after the second game. next season is going to be the wrap up of the second game, I feel like there's still going to be a lot of story to tell. Maybe we'll actually get at least the announcement of a third game between now and then. But where do you see things going in the second season and the third season and maybe beyond? I mean, because would you like to see Ellie go into like her 30s and 40s and getting to Joel's age and maybe coming across a child figure of her own to have to try to take responsibility for? I mean, kind of like Star Wars tried to do with with having Rey come in and be like the next generation of Jedi or whatever, and we see the older versions of those classic characters. I mean, is something like that possible, or well, mostly what I'm trying to ask you is, do you think they're going to go off script from the game and just have like a fourth season of whatever the hell they want to do?
I'm kind of glad you said that, because I was going to the end of the game. I'm like, you know what? Maybe a big twist is they do actually do a happy ending, because I'm like, if you're really just going to sit here and cut this off and that's it, the second game is where the story ends, and also that means the third season of this is where it ends, then don't do that depressing ass fucking ending of the second game. Even if you do it, follow up, because it does just end there. I'm trying to not like say it, but like it ends on a very down note, I guess, where you think, oh, what's she gonna do now? Yeah, maybe give us that little after. I'm like, oh, let's see her go back to Jackson, or let's see her go do this. Let's, give me something, because after all that, kind of ending on that dour note, like at least maybe change that for the show. You don't see past, what this, I don't know, this maybe takes place. This might also take place over a year or so, because obviously Dina has her baby, and Abby, she gets into another fight with Abby again, going back to find her. So that takes some time. So it would be nice to see like a little epilogue after scene of like, okay, give us something if you're not going to give us a game. I'd be okay with that.
Well, I mean, think on this for a minute. I mean, as of right now, they recently in the last 6 months, said there's no plans for a third game right now. If you think about when the final episode of season 3 will air, you're looking at 18 to 24 months from where we are right now.
You could crank out a game.
So between now, they said that we're not getting a game anytime soon. It does not say that they are not working on a game, because it's been in the news a lot the last couple of years, especially after they announced this series, that they were in the process of working on a potential third game, and that it could potentially come out in time for, I think it was this season or the end of this season. And it was recently that they said, it's not coming. It's not to say they're not working on it. So maybe they're behind the scenes saying, we need to crank out a story and some graphics and try to work on this to try to maybe have a third game come out about the time that the third season of this series is wrapping up. And then if HBO wants to try to option that we've already got them some story. They can already get some writers working on a potential fourth season based on what we're telling them we're going to do in the third game. And maybe. So I'm not 100% convinced that there won't be a fourth season based on what could potentially be a third game that pops out. Naughty Dog could surprise the fuck out of people and be like, hey, we're working on a third game. We think we've cracked a story. It's going to be got final, stories for all of these characters that are in there now, and it's gonna happen. And then HBO has already said they want to do a fourth season where they're gonna finalize all this stuff. They're gonna put it on camera, these final acts of all these characters, and there it is. So I mean, there's still a long time between now and when next season wraps up. So I mean, hope springs eternal, they say. So
we never really do know, because I mean, the meme for the longest time, the joke was always that Fallout 4 was never going to come out. And I mean, it was kind of true, because Fallout 3 came out, or I'm sorry, Vegas came out in like 2009. And that came out in like 2015. So there was a big gap of time. And then when that came out of the kind of hint was that when E3, God rest its soul, now that's gone. When E3 used to still be cool. When they say like, oh yeah, Bethesda's going to come out and say something, we're like, wait, what? They're doing what? What are you about to talk about? Because that had never happened. And then you come out of the gate with Fallout 4, and they're like, oh yeah, we've been working on this for like the last 5 years. I'm like, you motherfucker, really? Nothing. Radio site. We had no fucking idea. And it's like, okay, now I got to go to my computer and awkwardly delete like a whole terabyte of Fallout 4 is never going to happen. Okay, joke's on me, I guess. But
there's precedence for this in gaming too. I mean, Jesus Christ, they've been waiting for another Grand Theft Auto game since Texas.
And I was about to mention that. I'm like, we're all about to burn the damn studio down because now they're like, hey, yeah, but 2026, guys. I'm like, right, it came out in 2013. That was number 5.
Yeah.
Together.
So, I mean, it's not. No, I don't think they're going to wait another like 27 years before they come out with The Last of Us.
I know, but man,
Game 3, because I think they really want to try to get that 4th season in if they can. But
they're
going to make it, or they're not going to make it. Either they're going to make it soon, or they're never going to make it.
That's what I mean. Like, don't wait too long. You've got this momentum going where you have. In tandem, you have your games, that you've already made, and a show you've made off of it, which brings in a whole other audience, and then people go back and start playing the games, and now they're invested in this. I'm like, yeah, keep that momentum going. Like, shit, Fallout's doing it. Fallout's got season 2 coming, and they already have season 3. So, come on, what's your excuse?
Yeah, Tech says, and I agree with him for the most part. Not getting blood for blood makes you look weak. I mean, there's a couple different ways they could go with it. I mean, yeah, you could say there could be the argument made that at the end of the day, Ellie decides to break the cycle, and I get it. Break the cycle of violence.
That's
the point. Because she does run the risk of, okay, I get my revenge and kill Abby, and then somebody who's close to Abby decides now I have to go kill Ellie, and then, well, there's your 3rd game. I mean, but at some point it does get a little. It does. That cycle, from a storytelling perspective, gets a little monotonous. And also, there's maybe just like the social aspect of saying, you know what, you got to break the cycle. It's got to stop with us. But at the same time, I feel like why go through all this if you're not going to put that bullet right in Abby's eye? I feel like that's. I feel like that's the most satisfying ending for the journey. Sometimes the journey needs to end in violence because that was the whole point. You know what I mean?
You sure you don't just want her to be weak? Because don't you all get annoyed by like really strong girl bosses? So, what's your logic there?
Well, they're both girl bosses, so it's like one of them's got to die. It may as well be Abby. That's what completes the story, right?
Well, yeah, screw Abby. Like I said, I don't care. I dropped her off a cliff. I let her get eaten by every clicker I saw in the game because she pisses me off. But she was also like 6 foot and 280 pounds of fucking muscle. I was like, Jesus Christ, woman.
No shit. I would put a round in each lung and then walk away as she drowned in her own blood.
Yeah, I mean, I don't care how tough you are. I'm just saying.
That's just me.
Show Abby, I'm like, okay, she is a little more level. Like, she actually looks like an actual fucking human being, unlike Abby in the game, where somehow she found steroids 25 years in the apocalypse or something.
I don't.
That is not a workout routine, ma'am. I don't care what kind of shit you're doing in this military in the apocalypse. No one is that jacked.
Of all the stupid things people have complained about this show. It's like, why is she not so ripped like Abby in the game? It's like, who fucking cares? It's not like people in this situation where the cordyceps virus has turned most everybody into zombies. It's not like they're going to have a lot of time to go to Planet Fitness and get their pump in. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I mean, unless you come across some probably expired steroids, you're not really going to be able just like to do your workout thing. I mean, you're lucky to have food, let alone eat healthy. I mean, it's like, so it's you can't expect everybody to be all jacked. I would imagine that in this situation that most people would be kind of frail and weak. I mean, the fact that Joel is still kind of not jacked, but I mean in fighting shape.
Pretty fit.
Yeah, I mentioned it. Yeah, I mentioned it a couple weeks ago. Now maybe it's because he was a little worn, a little ragged from the Battle of Jackson, but it's like you had that one scene earlier, a couple episodes ago, where Tommy is trying to hammer in that steak, and he kind of can't finish the job. So Jesse's got to come over and take over for him, and he just kind of looks at Jesse like, "Fuck you, kid." Like, right. So I'm 30 years older than you, whatever. So it's like everybody. Not only do you age, but I mean, you don't have probably healthy food. It's like nobody's going to you can't go to wherever and buy salads or whatever. I mean, you're lucky to find whatever. I mean, they're probably eating a lot of meat, a lot of deer and shit, but I mean, still, you're not eating healthy,
Well, and you know what? Your Mr. Big Bad Boy Negan would also be weak too. Because I know he even mentions that. He's like, I could have killed all of you, and I should have. But he didn't. I'm like, well, I guess that makes him weak. I mean, he didn't kill all of them, right? By your own logic. he said, I just had to prove a point because I looked weak to my fucking people that like I had to explain why I couldn't protect them. All these people that had families, that had relationships, had stuff going on. And you came in there and wrecked all that shit for me. So I had to come out swinging. He's like, just enough to get you to get the point. But he's like, yeah, I would have fucking killed all of you. But he didn't. That's the point. He's like, I don't have to fucking just murder all of you. It's good to get one or two of you. Why did you have to do Abraham? I don't know. But it was just Glenn, to be fair.
I'm assuming you watched the promo for next week's episode.
What, this?
Yeah.
No.
Well, okay. Well, you know how this episode ends. The scene where she's laying in her bed and Joel pops in and says, "Hey, kiddo."
Oh.
So
yeah, where I would have not done that, I would have just ended on her whacking Nora in the mouth and just ended it there because that's a bomb drop of, cut to black, go to credits. And then I'm like, yeah, but then you just totally shift and it's like, oh, she woke up and hey, kiddo. I'm like, that's obviously a flashback. Why'd you end with that? Why didn't you just open with that next episode?
Well, I think it's
way.
The way you tease it. I mean, because look, I said a couple weeks ago, we're obviously not done seeing Joel, not just in the season, but in the show. I think we're going to get a little bit of Joel and some flashbacks.
That's what it was. I think this next episode was going to be the flashback.
It's going to be the flashback, the whole thing where he takes her
birthday party,
puts her in the Apollo capsule. I think we're probably going to end up seeing the conversation
and
where
the bomb drop
about what happened in the hospital that day.
That's right.
I've been seeing this conversation coming for a while. I figured it was going to come at some point this season. I thought maybe they would save it for something early next season, just so they could have Joel in an episode or two. But I think it's obvious that a lot of next week is going to be a flashback, which makes it even more interesting to me. There's only 2 episodes left in the season, so whatever you're telling me this season has to happen fast.
The only thing I'm not. You know what? Something else that could be different is in season 3, because when you play as Abby for the better part of the back half of the game, remember there was no backstory, no lead up, no introduction to this character. All you see is like, are you playing as her? Who is this person? Oh shit, she's getting attacked by zombies. Oh crap! Hey, here's somebody we know and trust. It's Joel. Oh fuck! What are you doing with that? What are you doing with that fucking golf club? Boom! Kills him. You're like. What the fuck is going on? You know what I mean? And then you don't see any of it. And then in the back half, when you're playing as Abby, you start getting more flashbacks of when she was a kid with her dad still alive. And then seeing that, and then you're like, oh, okay. So I'm like, well, you already kind of blew that whole wad. So what are you going to do? Are we not going to do any of that? Like seeing some of the stuff with talking about her dad and like, them being part of the Fireflies and then being like, hey, we're going to go, operate on this girl who's going to save us all, Maybe we'll get a scene like that, but like maybe not as many because I'm like, we already kind of know what her deal was right out of the gate. You don't learn that till later, so I don't. Maybe that.
We've already had that scene at the beginning of a couple episodes ago where she's walking in the hallway where she would eventually discover
right after, yeah.
And she's in that dream, and the older version of herself is telling the younger version, "Don't go in there. You're not going to like what you see." So I don't know if they want to expand on that kind of that kind of stuff. I mean, they might.
Not much more to. Yeah.
But there is a couple of pieces of cool trivia. There's actually a lot of trivia on IMDb about this episode. A lot of it's kind of stupid, but I'm not going to go through all of it. But it's a surprising amount. Usually I find like 5 or 6 pieces of trivia, but there's a lot of this one. One of them was something I talked about. Young Mezziano thought Jesse was more annoyed at Ellie and Dina's revenge quest than their growing romance. I don't even know if there is a growing romance there yet as far as the show is concerned. But noting that he was pissed off that they required saving. I'm not even sure that he knows what's going on with them right now. I mean, because the only conversation he ever had with Ellie about it was that one where he goes to get her so they can go on patrol together, and she just kind of plays it off like, no. Well, Ellie at the time didn't know it was anything either, so that's all that he knows about it. So I'm not even sure that he knows anything about the relationship. Another piece of trivia, this is what I was saying earlier. When Jesse arrives, cinematographer, I'm going to mispronounce his name, Senia Sarita. Ksenia. I don't know how to pronounce that. I'm assuming the K is silent. Senia Sarita used a device from Lazenby to distort the lens and create a blurry, dazed effect to reflect Ellie's confusion, in which she briefly believes Jesse is Joel.
I don't know if I really got that. I was just thinking like maybe it's in the, like you said, the heat of the moment and the tunnel vision of like what's going on, and obviously a few rounds go off by your face. I mean, you'd be stunned. So, and she's kind of disoriented. I was like, I didn't really think that it was, that I it was apparently her thinking she saw Joel, but I don't know. I just thought it was like, oh crap, is this a wolf? Is this like, who is this? Oh, I was like, oh, thank God it's Jesse. Okay, let's get the hell out of here.
Yeah, a little bit more about the spores. You might get a kick out of this. Spores, through which the infection is spread in the games, were replaced by tendrils in the series, but reintroduced in this episode as the writers wanted to recreate the moment in which Nora realizes Ellie is immune and unaffected by the spores. Neil Druckmann, the series co-creator who co-wrote and co-directed the game, felt their reintroduction kept the threat dynamic and dramatic as the world continues changing around the characters. That's why I think it's a good time.
That's what we were saying
now, because you have to slowly kind of up the ante. So by introducing spores, there's a new level of danger to this infection. I don't know that you necessarily need that for the third season, because I think the third season is really just going to center around the eventual meetup of Ellie and Abby. That's what's going to build a lot of tension in the third season. But introducing him in the second season, I thought was a great idea. I think that's why you do it.
Because that scene is visceral as hell, and it needed to be that way. Because I was like, unless you have some miraculous thing planned for how you're going to explain, it's still the scene of, oh crap, you're not dying, and I'm sitting here choking on these spores. I'm like, you either better introduce that shit now, or have some other way around it. So, okay.
Here's an interesting question for you, Jeremy. Like I said, there's only 2 episodes left, and we think that the next one's going to be mostly flashback. Sergeant Park reports that her squad found nothing in the hospital basement, not even rats. In the game, the Rat King, we've talked about it before, is a massive infected inhabiting the lowest level of the hospital, formed from an amalgamation of all infected patients who were dumped down there in the earliest days of the outbreak. Do we get that in maybe the last episode? Is that like one of the final like shocks that they give us this year, or do they save that for next season?
Again, if you're following the game, that happens when you're playing as Abby, so that would be like season 3. Which again, if you want to keep the factor going up, I'm like, that is like the abomination of all abominations. So maybe say that for season 3, because holy Jesus, man, that thing, I forgot I watched somebody play it on YouTube a week or so ago. When Abby's throwing, they did the way I did it. I just threw everything at it. I'm running through shells. I'm running through flamethrower fuel. I'm running through fucking my ammo, both my pistols. I'm like, I'm trying to kill this thing. And it just splits in half into 2 halves. One half goes this way. One drops down in the basement lower. Still alive, because remember, they just kind of come apart. And I was like, oh, great. Now there's 2. Son of a bitch. It's annoying. So that would be a big, scene to do in season 3. I think we're going to hold off on that. I caught that reference, though, and you said there's not rats. I'm like, you mean like a rat king? Maybe. Yeah, no, that might be something for... Oh, man, you see how much more terrifying that is? You have someone of Abby's stature trying to go against something that's like the size of like half the room. Because I'm like, even in the game, man, this thing like dwarfs her. And, we've talked about Abby's like freaking Mr. Universe over here, pumping iron. And it's still, and she's still like shitting her pants, which rightfully so. So I don't know. I say save it.
Yeah, I say save it too. Like I said, I think next season the focus of the final season is going to be all about the journey of Abby and Ellie coming together. But you do still need some of those shock moments. Yeah, you still need some of those moments that like all the people who are looking for the actiony parts of it. You're going to need something like that. You know what I mean? Because
because now we're realizing, oh, there's places in this world that are like that have just been left sitting for, assumedly some of them for the whole time. I think that's that little breadcrumb of like, ooh, maybe there's something even worse in the shadows that we don't know about.
You'd have to imagine that hospital in Seattle is not the only place where the virus has been like really condensed and contained and hasn't turned into something like the Rat King. I would imagine that's not the only place. So maybe they don't run into it here in Seattle. Maybe it's next season there's somewhere else. I don't know where the second half of the second game takes us as far as locations around the country are concerned. But like I said, I would imagine that's not the only place.
It's what Ellie says. Like, why is there a big fucking something in the middle here that they haven't gone to yet? Like, you'd think there's some reason why, if they're patrolling everything but that, like, there's some reason as to why they don't go in there.
Yeah, another interesting thing that I noticed, I didn't realize as I was reading this, a card on the desk in the abandoned warehouse reads Happy Mother's Day. This episode actually aired on Mother's Day. So.
Did.
I did not realize that.
I was like, oh, you missed it.
I was like, oh, interesting.
I was like, you missed it by 1 week. Dina got pregnant last episode, or found out. So I'm like, maybe a little early on the Mother's Day thing, but whatever.
Yeah, it says here that Craig Mazin notes that the WLF has no information regarding on what's on level B3, basement level 3 of the hospital. Neil Druckmann's response is, I think some people who've played the game might know. How far down into this hospital do we, I mean, because I know that they're in the game, that's where the Rat King is, right? Yeah, well, how deep into this hospital do they go in the game? And do they go that far in the show?
I swear it was in like an apartment complex or some shit, like something... Or there was a basement to it. I don't remember if it was actually the hospital. I think the hospital might be the stand-in, which that's fine. But yeah, like I said, if that's just what's on level 2, I mean that's where level 3. That's where you'd keep your that's where your big bad. That would make sense if it's the hospital, like you said, where they just start hucking people down into the basement that they probably couldn't save or do anything for, and you leave that to sit there for a while. It's gonna come together like the Beatles. So here comes the sun. Cuckoo, cuckoo. Well, I don't know. I'm out of Beatles references. And there you go. So yeah, that might be his hint to like that's probably what's down there. Maybe the wolves don't even realize that's there either. They just now found out about spores. So
in the game, well, I mean, they just now find out officially. I think maybe they kind of knew but didn't know. I don't know if they knew it was spores, but they know because of the communication between that team and their commander that something is down there. That's why they sealed the whole damn thing off. But how far down into that basement level do they go in the game? Because we're only go down to level 2 in this episode. If there's more levels past that, is that where the Rat King is maybe hiding out? Maybe he's kind of stuck in there.
It's probably down in that 3rd level. I mean, if you want to make video game jokes, I mean the rule of 3, right? I mean, the third level is probably the last. There's only so many basements in a place like that. I think that might be, excuse me, that might be where it's dwelling. Which I don't know, something of that size. I'm surprised they didn't hear it or catch wind of it, man. Because you want to secure that building down, and if that's what they were doing, they were trying to secure this building and realize, oh crap, there's spores and shit down here that we haven't dealt with. Maybe like the game, there'd be like a journal somewhere where someone's writing as they die, like, oh yeah, there's something over here. It's called and then they die.
Yeah, I like this one because it goes very well with this picture right here. The hospital basement scene was largely similar to the game, though some dialogue was altered due to the series' altered timeline. Craig Mazin liked that the red lighting made Bella Ramsey's eyes black. He and Good, who I'm assuming is one of the other people that makes the show, referred to Ellie as Baby Shark in the scene because of the darkness and death in her eyes. That is a pretty cool visual. I think you can get a little bit of it here. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's low light, so your pupils are gonna grow anyway to try to take it.
It's gonna kind of.
But damn, that is a pretty cool view.
I need Robert Shaw telling me about you ever see a shark's eyes, Chief, like a doe's eyes, all black and lifeless, like. Till they roll over white once they bite you. Yeah, so I don't know.
We talked about this a little bit earlier.
Cool visual.
Yeah, we talked about this a little bit earlier. Bella Ramsey appreciated the opportunity to explore Ellie's violence in contrast with her own behavior and felt Ellie disliked that she was becoming more like Joel in her capacity for violence. She didn't seem to have any problem with it in this scenes.
Well, I mean, it kind of, there's walking the walk, and then there's, talking the talk, man. It came down to start swinging, so she did. So, I mean, you know what? It kind of mirrors. I mean, didn't we see that with Isaac in that Sarah fight, where you could done a whole manner of things to him to slow his death and draw it out, make him suffer. He was burning him with that copper pan, and then when he realizes, like, I'm not going to get anything out of this guy, he's like, fuck, boom, shoots him in the head. I'm like, yeah. I mean, she kind of realized, like, yeah, she's not going to give it up. So next, find somebody else. You weren't the only one in the room. So I don't know if she thought it through really, but it's like, well, now you're going to get what you deserve, I guess.
Scenes of the conflict between the Seraphites and WLF, such as the dead Seraphites against a wall, were partially inspired by scenes from the film Come and See in 1985. I do not remember that film.
I can't say that I do either.
Oh, I'll have to look it up though, because those are some pretty dope visuals, and they were inspired by that, then I got to give it a look.
I mean, that's a pretty, something you see in the game too, and a lot of apocalypse stuff where it's like you line these fuckers up against a wall and you just shoot them in the head. It's like, eesh, damn.
Yeah, Tati Gabrielle is the one who plays Nora. I don't know why I was blanking on her name, but it says here that she nerded out with Craig Mazin about Nora's infection from the spores, wanting to ensure the details were correct. That definitely shows her in the performance. I think I think she does a fantastic job with that scene.
Yeah, because it's her slowly realizing, like, shit, I'm gonna die either way. So, but yeah, as it goes on, that's man.
The stalker performers trained in dancing to get their movements right.
I could see that.
That makes sense, because
really athletic.
Elizabeth Olsen worked it's been talked about a lot. Worked with a hand dancer to get when she was playing Wanda.
Oh,
Maximoff.
Wanda.
She worked with a hand dancer to get the hand motions. It just something that she thought would fit the character. Nice. Yeah, that makes sense. One of the things we used to make fun of it when I was a kid is that football players for a while were taking ballet lessons. Because
however
of the emphasis on footwork. And we always joke about it because Jerry Rice, who was the GOAT wide receiver, the best wide receivers ever played football, he actually took dance lessons to improve his footwork, and he was one of the best route runners in the history of the NFL. I mean, he'd get open, get hit with a pass, and then 70 yards later he's spiking the ball in the end zone. And your defense is like, what the hell? what just happened? We don't know.
And I was gonna say the Ray Park, who plays one of the most badass Sith in all of Star Wars, of Darth Maul. And if you can't tell, even from his performance as being Darth Maul, he took a lot of dance, a lot of ballet, a lot of gymnastics. I'm like, right, because this dude is on his toes doing flips and all kinds of shit, winging around a double-bladed saber. So, just saying, it definitely brings a new skill set to something like that, man. It makes it really cool.
Let's see. Dana figuring out the WLF's movements using a radio and a map is something she also does in the game. You ever notice that she was using the mag for a gun as a ruler?
It's close enough to a straight edge that you're going to be able to.
Whatever works.
Use what you got, I guess. Yeah.
MacGyver the shit out of that stuff. Go ahead, Dina.
Yeah, you'll get it close enough. I mean, whatever.
Just walking another. I really do like how this series has stayed true to even some of the little things about the game. Ellie is all excited that she figures out how to turn the generator on in the theater, which is something gamers figure out while playing as Ellie directly after Dina reveals she's pregnant. So different timeline, but it's those little things about her getting excited that she found the generator for the theater and stuff like that. Those things are one of the things that I think help endear us to the characters a little bit more.
And they did kind of do the thing. Like I said, she sings the song, I think, in the theater, but she does in this one actually go up to the stage. And it started to break my heart a little bit because she starts to sing a song that she learned from Joel. Because I started to sing the next line because she only says the first part where she says, "If I were to lose you." Because the next line is, "I would surely lose myself." And I'm like, well, if that ain't the most poignant shit ever. And then you see her kind of stop. I was like, oh, yeah. I'm like, that's going to hurt. That's something that he taught her.
Is that the one I was thinking of? Oh, no, that's the closing credits. The episode's credits feature Pearl Jam's song Present Tense, a new version of a 1996 song. The band released an extended play featuring the song on May 12th of this year, which I should look that up on YouTube.
Yeah.
Because I do love Pearl Jam.
Yeah. Well, unless you're named after one of the fucking songs and it gets on your nerves, but that's just me.
remember, the grunge era was my era, not yours. You can't have that.
Like I wasn't fucking. No. Nirvana is grunge. Anything else is post grunge. It doesn't lessen it. It's post grunge. It died with Kurt. That's all you get.
No, early post grunge. Early Pearl Jam was grunge. After about
94.
I think it was after about the second album they started to change it. I think it was called industrial for a while, which I never really liked that I think that's what grunge eventually became, and then it just all and then once you go to the 2000s, it all transitioned into more like soft pop rock, not even alternative. It's like I think alternative died right around 2000. Then it all got into like some soft pop rock.
Like 2010.
You saw a lot of these bands that were inspired by Nirvana and some.
Right, that's what I'm saying. It's all post grunge.
They turned into pop rock music, which is kind of disappointing, but whatever. Text, you are wrong, sir. All the records say so. Go to footballreference.com. You can compare the two players. Although I like Michael Irvin now more than I liked him as a player. The only Dallas Cowboy that I liked in the 90s is Emmitt Smith. Everybody else can go to hell. He also says that grunge killed rock and roll. It sucks. No, grunge was a natural evolution for rock and roll. It lasted all of 3-4 years.
Yeah, that's it.
And then, honestly, a big part of what killed grunge, sadly enough, was drug use. If you think about it, because if you look like Nirvana, Blind Melon, there were so many bands, even bands that got kind of lumped into the grunge thing that were popular in the 80s, got kind of pulled into the grunge punk thing. A lot of their lead singers got hooked on bad shit. A lot of them died like really young in the 90s. So yeah, I think drug use is what really hurt grunge. And I think that's one of the reasons why the genre only really lasted for about 5 years.
If that, yeah.
Yeah, there's a video. I kind of, if I could find it, I'd send it to you. It's about timelines aren't what you think. That like we think of the Old West as this period of American history that lasted for like 40 or 50 years. That the period that we call the Old West was only really about 8 or 10 years long. But there's so many stories that have been told so many times. We feel like it was this huge part of American history when the reality was it was really only about a decade of human history.
How many things have you seen about World War II? I'm like,
exactly.
Well, for our end of it, I mean, it only happened for 4 years. I'm like, there are so many stories that, like, I mean, it is a global conflict. There's plenty of stories abound, I'm sure, but no, same kind of deal. I mean, if you really want to be technical, it was 1939, but whatever, semantics. So,
yeah. That's the funny thing about MASH. I've always thought was funny. It's like the Korean War was 3 years long, but the series MASH went for like
10 years.
Yeah. 10 or 11 years.
Like 11 years, yeah. Well, that's the awkward thing. I always thought about that 70s show. I'm like, are you not like he's making Star Wars references. I'm like, you're at least in 1977. You got about 3 years to play with here. So there's a lot of 70s stuff you're going to be talking about.
Yeah, MASH, for all the shit that we've given, like the Fox Marvel stuff, like the X-Men, like the whole continuity, schmontinuity thing, like 11 years out of a war that lasted 3 years, there is literally one episode of MASH that takes place over the course of a year. They made a 30-minute episode take an entire year of time, so it's like, okay, whatever.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, there's no time in that.
It was all fun, wasn't it?
It was all fun. You know, we got Hawkeye and Trapper and BJ out of the whole thing. It's a great show. Really funny. Yeah.
I got to meet them at a con, so thanks for that.
I've actually started listening to Alan Alda's podcast, Clear and Vivid.
Oh,
he has some pretty cool shit on there.
Nice. I'm still giddy as hell that Margaret Houlihan put her arm around me. So, what can you say?
Lucky man, you are. Lucky man.
I know.
MASH one of my favorites too, BJ.
It's my mom's favorite shows, yeah.
I watch that movie every night as I'm falling asleep. I watch that show every night as I'm falling asleep.
Oh,
MASH. We're going to review the movie at some point. The movie is very good from the TV show. The movie is still very, very good. It's got the young Donald Sutherland, a young Tom Skerritt. Oh man, that movie's so good. But we should probably go ahead and start to wrap things up there. Again, next episode is going to be a lot of flashback. I think it's going to be interesting to see Joel. We're going to get a lot of Joel on camera again, which is going to be interesting. And we're also going to get that moment where he gives her the truth about what happened in the hospital that day. I feel we're probably going to.
I think so.
It's going to be definitely an emotional episode leading into whatever episode 7 is going to give us. Because assuming this one's going to be mostly flashback, that means episode 7 is going to have to kind of wrap up the events of this entire season. And I'm curious as to where they leave things. Again, I don't know exactly where the story is at in the midpoint of the game. I don't know how close they're going to leave it to the exact midpoint. Maybe they're going to drift later into the game, or they're going to try to hold back as much as they can for season 3. But I'm interested in seeing how this goes. I feel like the 7th episode is going to be the one that really kind of leaves us hanging. by design, because we know we're getting season 3. So I feel like there's going to be maybe not a cliffhanger, but a lot of unanswered stuff that we're going to stew over until we get the next season.
Even if it's a flashback, I'm like, I feel like maybe not the whole episode. It's like you could probably spend the first half of this next episode doing the flashback, building up the whole, them going to the museum for her birthday and Joel getting the cassette tape with the countdown and the flight sequence, her in the pod, and then tonally switch to like, now we're going to have that conversation, because that ending on like her, that starts her on like her just kind of hatred for him, and then cutting back to like, so here's where we're at now. And then 7's going to have to tie this up.
Yeah, I'm curious as where they're going to leave us. Like I said, I'm happy because I'm interested to see where season 3 is going to go. It's been a great series all around from first seasons. This second season has been great. I kind of worry because like third season is kind of where the Mandalorian goes a little sideways. In a couple episodes, not as a whole, there's a couple episodes of the Mandalorian that go a little sideways in season 3. I'm hoping season 3 doesn't give us that, but I mean they're run by different people. And if
for some reason Boba Fett shows up in the middle of this show, I mean I'll be like, wait, whoa, what are you doing here, man?
Well, you know how to stop the cordyceps outbreak. You need Danny Trejo riding a Rancor. That's what you need.
Very true.
Every movie needs Sam Elliott as the wise old bouncer, like in Roadhouse. Every movie needs Danny Trejo riding a Rancor in to start wrecking shop. So that's, if you have those in every movie, that's all you need. That's how you solve a movie problem.
To be fair, one of the melee weapons in The Last of Us is in fact a machete. So I'm just saying, it's right there.
Machete is right there. Machete in space
is there.
Machete in Last of Us. That's the third movie right there. We've already got it done.
Yep.
Let's start writing that right now, Danny Trejo. Danny Trejo's not
Machete
getting any younger.
versus clickers.
Danny Trejo's not getting any younger, man. The guy's like almost 80 now. If you can believe that shit. So let's get him out there. One more trip as Machete.
Like I said, I just met him at a con very recently. I'm like, he still looks good for his age, man. Shit. I can look that good at 80.
As Mexicans age well. I mean, I'm not. That's my white genes from my mom's side, but I mean, as Mexicans usually age well.
You blame it on the white people. Come on, man.
I know. It's all your guys' fault. Can't blame people of color. It's not how we do it anymore. But thanks to all of you for coming and hanging out with us. We very much appreciate it. Thanks to my co-host, my hair life mate Jeremy. Where can the folks at home find you, my friend?
Here Tuesday and Thursday. Writing the new script for Machete versus Clickers. So
with a Rancor.
You know what? You could just ride that bitch in the battle and it would solve a lot of problems. I'm just saying it. The Rat King, who? I don't. More like the Rat Prince or something. I don't know. The Rat Popper. Yeah, Jester. So, yeah, I don't know what. I feel like I ask this every damn week. I don't know what the hell we're doing Thursday.
I don't know what we're doing Thursday yet either, to be honest. The whole schedule is kind of a mess right now because I've been very wrapped up in a lot of other things. So
I would have assumed maybe the accountant. I mean, I went to see it, but I don't know if we ever got around to doing that.
We did not. Like I said, it's been kind of a train wreck around here. You guys can see it. There's a lot of stuff packed up. There's going to be more of this stuff getting packed up this weekend. Actually, this weekend I'll actually start moving things over to the new house. So maybe there'll be a small picture put up of what the new studio space is going to be, what it's going to kind of look like. At least just kind of the room, if nothing else. But I will have my own dedicated studio space, so I'll be able to do hopefully more stuff. But we'll see. Got to get moved. Got to get settled in. Jennifer's got a trip to New York. She's going to be taking next month. Nice. So a lot going on. But
you may get stuck with me. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, maybe I'll just start taking Thursdays off with Jeremy or everything. What do you guys think? He's not bad at what he does. He does this okay. We'll just kind of let him and Tex argue about stupid shit.
No, we're not going to start reviewing The Walking Dead. No. Not yet.
That would take a great deal of planning and note taking, and they would have to get their gumption up for that. That would take a lot. that would take a lot for them to get there to get boned up for that. So
I'm not saying I wouldn't do it. I'm just saying there is a lot to do with that.
Well, Christ, it only went 37 seasons.
Yeah, and about 6 spinoffs. Yeah, so
I mean, you may as well go for the balls and just start with episode 1, season 1 of Doctor Who.
The actual season 1.
Yeah,
you talking about from 1963?
Going back to 1963, start at the beginning.
All right, well, give me my TARDIS and we'll go back in time. I'll go start watching. Maybe I'll catch that one episode of Doctor Who that got interrupted by Max Headroom. So it was a fun little tidbit for you if you don't know about that.
Yeah, Tex says that Thursday Night Tex would be a great show. Just talk about whiskey and boobs and murder. And don't forget the murder. and great murder special effects. I think that'll be a lot of fun. As for Thursday, you'll see something on Thursday. What it is, I have no idea just yet. We'll talk about that over the course of the next 24 hours or so. But again, my planning is kind of a mess right now because I'm in the middle of a move. Still have to work. Still have stuff I got to do. So yeah, we'll figure something out.
We're still trying to do a yard sale, so that's trying to get that damn garage cleaned out. So yeah.
Whoa. We got a lot going on, kids. We're some busy.
You don't realize there's actually crap laying all around me right now, but you can't see it because it's not in frame.
Yeah, I've got boxes. There's some boxes behind me that are out of view. It's got baseball cards and some podcasting stuff and a few things in it. I got 2 monitors sitting right there. I got to do something with. So
that's why I sit right here.
It's gonna be busy. But we'll be back on Thursday to do something. I promise. Even if we very much appreciate it, Jeremy. Thanks for coming and being the expert on everything Last of Us. I'm so very happy and fortunate to have somebody with your knowledge around. We will see you guys on Thursday. Until next time. Adios.
Hey, and all those teachers told me playing video games would get me nowhere. Yeah, who's laughing now, right?
I told my mom 100 times when she was telling me to put down the Nintendo controller and go outside and play. All these people that are making like $100,000 a year playing video games now. I'm like, thanks, Mom. Mm-hmm. Ruined my life.
You always do this.
And now, folks, it's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.